Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 47 of Hello Hello the
46.
podcast.
I had to double check that too because it feels kind of crazy
I know. We're
that
getting
we're
old.
getting to such a. Oh my god.
How you going?
Welcome, guys. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty chill.
Yeah.
It's a bit early this morning, so if
Yeah.
me and Jen sound like very raspy or like not like how we normally do, it's because we're recording a good maybe 5 or 6 hours earlier than what we normally do. Just because I have some appointments in the afternoon that I have to attend to. So it's very weird to say good morning rather than good afternoon. Like, yeah.
It's weird.
It's a bit strange. Yeah. But anywho's, we have a couple of stories to talk about this week, Jens. Probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode than last week's episode, but nonetheless, still a pretty fun one. We do have some very interesting topics to bring up, I might add. Some very interesting topics.
Surprising.
Yeah, quite surprising. But we'll get to those a little bit later. First, Jens, I want to hear about what you've been up to for the past week. You know, what have you been playing? What have you been watching, if anything?
Oh, I watched Dune.
Yeah, what did you think of it? Because you
watch it?
haven't read. I haven't seen it yet. I think I'm going to read the book before watching it.
Okay.
But like you haven't read any Dune stuff prior or things like that. You sort of went in a bit blind, I guess. You know,
but like I lasted one page maybe. So yeah, it was completely fresh to me. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Could you follow it quite well? Like,
yeah, they made it a lot easier to follow. That you don't need to know anything because they explain it all.
Yeah. That's kind of good.
So I think it's like a very condensed, like simpler version of the book.
Yeah.
So even if you did watch it before reading it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, I think if you read the main book, you'll get the whole story. But I think June that's come out just now in cinemas here in Australia, I think that's part 1 of
it is.
Like the whole story. So yeah, there's going to be a second one at some point in the near future. I'm not too sure when, but
yeah, it sets up for that, and it's part 1 of maybe the first book. I'm not sure, but
I think it's the first book. Yeah, I think there was a second June book.
There's like 3 or 4, or like there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah.
So yeah, I bought the book. I ended up buying the book after the film because I was like, I need to. This is incredible. I need to know more.
It might be a bit easier now that you've sort of had
that. I know,
like
what is
a bit of a prerequisite to the book. In a way that you might not have to rely on the dictionary as much, or any of those extra little tidbits. Like you have a basic understanding of it now, so you might it might be a little bit simpler. That might be a good way to go about it.
I'm hoping so, but I highly recommend watching it. It's a very hard thing to spoil as well, because I feel like it's a movie that you need to watch for the experience, kind of like Interstellar. You need to go through the journey and like just experience it and just witness it to fully appreciate it.
Yeah, I've heard people say that it, like the cinematography in it and like just the way that it's shot and like the visual aspect of it and like the sound design, is absolutely incredible.
Please watch it in cinema.
That's one thing that's sort of tempting me is like, should I go and see it in the cinemas? Because it's one thing to sit in a cinema and have like the whole big Dolby Atmos surround sound, like, shaking you to your core and stuff like that. And then it's another thing to like wait until it hits like, Disney Plus or whatever it is going to be, and you're watching it on your 55-inch like flat screen LED TV with a sound bar. And it's like it doesn't hit the same.
No, you want that bass going through your veins.
Yeah,
like when there's a lot of like that, and it amplifies the experience. It's so good.
It's one thing I've told Emma that I want in our future house at some point is that I've always wanted at least like a 5.1 surround sound system for like the lounge room or the theater or like whatever it is, like the game room maybe. Just for watching things like that at home, so it can be a bit more cinema-like, Yeah,
absolutely.
I've always wanted to set that up because it just, I feel like it really adds to the experience. The sound and the music and things are very much the same as like watching the film and understanding the story and all that sort of stuff. Like they go hand in hand, I feel.
Oh yeah.
So
you can't have one without the other.
No.
So yeah, I would 1,000,000% recommend if you can watch it in cinema. Please
Yeah.
watch it. It's so good.
All right. I might have to see what Emma's doing, and we might have to go check it out.
Yes.
Um,
What about you?
yeah,
What have you been up to?
not too much, not too much. I have we'll get into a little bit later, but I
Mm.
have been introducing Emma to Netflix's Daredevil series. Um, I've told her to start studying up.
Ah. Oh.
Just
Okay.
just for
This
some
is.
specific character,
Yep.
just for
Yeah.
some
Okay.
specific characters, So we're gonna get into a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
I would
that's what
love
we've
to
been
get into
watching.
that.
And if you haven't already seen, I don't think you've seen Netflix's Daredevil, Jenz. I'm not too
No.
sure, but honest to God, probably the best Marvel TV show
Okay.
ever, ever. Like it is honestly incredible. It is just so good. I would highly recommend it. I think season 1 is like 8 episodes, so it's not too long.
Yeah.
And they go for about 45 minutes a piece, so they're quite good. But
Okay.
just, oh my God, the character development, like the acting in it is just the action, the fight scene. It is so well done. It is
Right.
honestly incredible. And I haven't seen it since it came out like a good couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I
So you're
watched it when
rewatching it
Netflix dropped
again.
it initially, and I'm rewatching it now. And I've just like, it is just a treat to be able to sit through it again and be like, holy, I just reappreciate it because it is so good. Like, I love it so much. It's, yeah,
All
probably
right.
is my favorite like Marvel TV show. That's not Disney Plus, I guess. I think, and I will go into a little bit later, but little spoiler thing. I'm pretty sure Hawkeye is quickly becoming my favorite Marvel Disney Plus show.
What?
Yeah, quickly becoming. I don't know. I don't know how or why. It just
Well, we'll
it's
talk
maybe it's
about
flicking a
we'll
switch or
talk
something,
about it
but it's
later.
yeah. We'll talk about it a bit later because that's
episode
obviously what
3
we're going to cover
just
towards the end.
is what we're going to cover.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
All right. Well, shall we
Surprising.
begin with the news?
Surprising. I think so, Jenz.
Alright.
I think we'll just jump straight into it. This one I saw maybe a day or two after we uploaded last week's episode, episode 46, and I thought we'd cover it because it's kind of interesting. Basically what I took from this story was giant multi-billion-dollar company bullies small indie developer.
What's new?
Yeah. Are we surprised?
No.
Not really. But this story, It Takes Two, the acclaimed, cult puzzler game that came out earlier this year, has been hit with a trademark claim from Take-Two, who, for those of you that know, or don't know, I should say, is the parent company that owns like Rockstar and then GTA and like, all that, and a bunch of other game studios too.
My God.
They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're huge. They are huge. So yeah, this story goes, it has been revealed that the acclaimed cult puzzler about a pair of divorcing parents was struck by a trademark claim before its release earlier this year. So this was even before the game came out. Like the game still came out and was named It Takes Two, but before then it was struck with the trademark claim. So the records showed that developer Hazelight subsequently abandoned ownership of the name. So I'm not too sure what that means, but it's like they've still used It Takes Two, but they don't actually own the name It Takes Two anymore, which is a bit confusing because I don't know how they can release it if they didn't own it or it wasn't part of the same sort of packet, I guess. But if there's any lawyers that are listening, you can probably give us a bit of info on it. But it's so going on, the team also did not comment on how this has impacted Hazelight's ability to sell or market It Takes Two currently, or any plans to rename the game or any ideas for a potential sequel. Which is very interesting because like if they had to rename the game, like it's one of the best sort of indie games of the year and co-op games in quite a while. It has a very big sort of name around it, and It Takes Two is like quite a well-known, I guess, title from this year as well. Like if you ask a lot of gamers, what do you think of It Takes Two? They know sort of what you're talking about. So it'd be a big hit if they had to rename the game after it got so much popularity, and then if a sequel came out, not being able to again use that same like naming rights would impact its ability to sell as well or do as well, and market and stuff like that. So it'd take quite a big hit if they had to do that. But more interestingly, Jenz, the story goes on, and this isn't the first time this year that Take-Two has put out a bunch of trademark claims or copyright infringement claims and stuff like that. So they go on to say the US Patent Office records show that Take-Two is behind filings to contest numerous names with connections to the words Rockstar, Social Club, Mafia, and Civilization, plus like probably a bunch other.
Wow.
And the most humorous one to me, Jens, was they're going after actual companies too. So there's a company in Florida called Rockstar Axe Throwing, or they were called Rockstar Axe Throwing, which, as the name implies, is an axe throwing company, like where you get a bunch of friends and
I really want to do this.
Basically, it's kind of cool, yeah. You go to like basically an archery range, for lack of better terms, and like you just get to throw axes at a target. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But this company though, Rockstar Axe Throwing, is actually going up against Take-Two's trademark grab, and it is now, as they state, caught in a messy series of extensions and challenges from Take-Two. So you can probably safely assume that Take-Two's going to be able to just wait this one out and like drain their funds because they have so much money, and then just get the name anyways.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. When I read this, to me, it was just like it is, like I said at the start, big multi-billion-dollar company bullies smaller, companies and indie developers and all this, because it's like
especially It Takes
like
Two, like
yeah,
do the Take-Two, like
yeah.
I just don't like that.
Whereas if it
Rockstar Axe Throwing, I maybe I can get that.
See, that one I don't feel like you can, because Rockstar didn't come up with the name Rockstar. Like, Rockstar has been around since like, the 50s and 60s, when people started making rock music, and they just sort of took the name. And so to me, it kind of feels unfair to be like, no, we now own this name. You can't, and it would make sense if, like, I haven't really done too much research on Rockstar Axe Throwing, but it would make sense if, like, I looked at their logo and it had like the R with the star in the middle. Like, maybe that would make more sense, because now you are sort of infringing on, Take-Two and Rockstar's sort of like
logo.
Copyright, I guess. Like, that would make more sense. But just using the name Rockstar in the sequence of other things with axe and throwing, it's a bit too ambiguous, like, for me at least. It kind of, it's a bit, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
It's a bit much.
It's silly.
But yeah, I don't know. It is. It's kind of silly. It'd be interesting to see how this whole It Takes Two fiasco plays out, though. It'd be very interesting if they're either forced to rename the game, or like Take-Two gets a cut from the naming rights or something like that. I don't know how it'll work, but it'd be very interesting to see how it turns out. So
yeah, I don't know how they would go. It's interesting that it happened before the game was released and they still did it.
That's what I mean too. And they still released with the name. Like, it's kind of crazy, Does that mean that I can now go and release a game called It Takes Two, and like, and they can't do really anything about it? Or like, I guess Rockstar will come after me, but or Take-Two, I should say, sorry, will come after me. But yeah, I don't know. Jenz, did you see this though earlier in the week?
I did. This is actually really exciting.
Apparently, Sony, our lovely friends over at Sony, are making their own version of Game Pass.
Because you know how good Game Pass is, and you know how much we love Game Pass.
Look, Game Pass is great. I freaking love Game Pass. It is such a good, like, model, I guess. I don't know. Look, it's a good model for the consumers. I don't know how good of a model it is for the developers themselves. Like, it'd be very interesting to see what deals Microsoft have made with the developers to be able to put their games on Game Pass. Like, because typically, you'd get sales off an individual purchase of a game whenever it's on board that game. But now, because they're on a streaming service and people are paying a flat fee of $15 a month or whatever it is to play hundreds of games, I want to know how it sort of works. Do you get a cut based on how many people play your game? Do you get like
probably
a flat fee? Like, it'd be very interesting to see, because I don't think they've ever done a breakdown as to how the developers get paid, or I've never really seen anything on it. So it would be very interesting. But Jenz, do you want to take us through this story? Because it's very interesting and very exciting.
So yeah, according to Bloomberg, Sony is planning to create an Xbox Game Pass like subscription service. I assume they'll have 2 subscription services with the PS.
Well, yeah, they go on to say that Sony already offers 2 subscription services. So they currently have PlayStation Plus, which is like the online subscription service where you pay monthly or yearly, whatever it is, and you get to play games online. Which Xbox has scrapped kind of in lieu of Game Pass. Like if you have a Game Pass subscription now, if you get the gold subscription to Game Pass, you now also get the Xbox Live functionality alongside it too for an extra $5 a month or something. So they've sort of scrapped it, like that model, you know?
Right.
Which I think as well, I think that is the only way you can get Xbox Live these days now. I don't know if you can actually go to like the stores or you can get like a 6-month subscription separately. I'm not too sure. Yeah.
I think financially it worked out better to get the Game Pass anyway, so maybe they did scrap it.
Well, you know, it's kind of perfect because if you're paying $5 a month extra for the online, plus you get to play hundreds of titles, which might also use that online function. Like it's a win-win in a sense, you know, like, but yeah, so like I said, Sony already offers 2 subscription services in PlayStation Plus, and they also have kind of a service called PlayStation Now, which not a lot of people know about or not a lot of people care about.
Never heard of it.
Which does offer a catalog of games to download and or stream. But it's very limited.
Right. Okay. So not as extensive as Xbox's one.
No.
So reportedly they'll be merging the 2 in this new Game Pass offer, which is what Xbox is doing. Sony will likely keep PlayStation Plus brand, but phase out PlayStation Now. Makes sense. I haven't heard of PlayStation Now at all.
Well, that's it, because that's what I said. Yeah, no one's heard about PlayStation Now, or like the very select few people that do own it. Like, this is great, this is cool, but everybody that plays on PlayStation knows PlayStation Plus.
Maybe like I know it
as everywhere
as PSN, because I know PSN.
Well, PSN is PlayStation Network, which is also another name for PlayStation. Like, you need PlayStation Plus to be able to access the PlayStation Network. So it's kind of confusing if you do it in those acronym type things, because then PS Now does stand for PSN as well. So it's a bit confusing. Yeah.
According to rumors, the new service, which is codenamed Spartacus, would have 3 tiers. One would offer current PlayStation Plus perks. Another would include a catalog of PlayStation 4 and eventually PlayStation 5 games. And the third would have extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, 2, 3, and PSP games, which is quite exciting.
That's big.
Yeah,
that's big
if
because
true.
A lot of people have been harking on Sony for a little while now, since Xbox has started doing all their backwards compatibility things. People have been harking on Sony to do something similar, or like their own version of backwards compatibility. And people were quite disappointed when the PS5 was announced that it would only be backwards compatible to about 97% of the PS4 titles that have come out, and not PS3 or PS2 or even PS1 games. So it'd be very interesting if they did do it where they have to, like, similar to how the Nintendo Switch has done it, you download like a little emulator that Sony would develop themselves, and you'd then be able to run PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games on your PS5 or PS4. Which, because there are massive games that are on the PS1, PS2, and PS3. Massive games, you know? Like all the old Metal Gear Solid games, all the old Ratchet and Clank games.
Yeah,
there's tons, you know, the list goes on.
I'm so curious on how much they'll add, you know?
Yeah. And it'd be interesting too, because this Bloomberg report doesn't go into like what these 3 tiers that they talk about or are rumored about. It doesn't go into any like price points as to what they could be. So it'd be very interesting to see just where they price these things, because it's I
feel like they're gonna have to be so competitive, because from memory, PlayStation Plus is $80 a year if you buy the 1-year subscription. And that gives you one, like, I like 3 games free every month.
You get typically 3 free games. Typically be 2 PS4 games, and then recently they've started to put in some PS5 games every now and again.
And a PSVR.
And then if you also own PSVR, I think every second month or every little while they'll give you a PSVR game for free too.
So yeah, that's 80. But Game Pass, like, is how much?
I think standard is like $10 a month, $10.95 a month, and then the gold subscription is like $15.95 a month. I could be mistaken. So it's quite competitive, and the thing is too, it's only going to have to be extra competitive in the sense that Game Pass has already been out for the better half of like 2 or 3 years now. Like they've got to play catch up. They've got to play big catch up to get people on board with it. I feel like when they do, if it does ever come through, because this is all still rumors too, but I feel like if this ever does come to fruition, most PlayStation players are going to be on board with it because they've heard about Game Pass before. They know what Game Pass is. They know how it works and stuff. And I feel like they're going to be like, oh, a Sony version? Sign me up. Like,
yeah, because if it is as extensive as Xbox Game Pass, no brainer. Like, that is so worth to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully it'll probably be next year. But
you would think, it does say in these rumored reports, the company would plan to launch the service sometime in the spring.
So that's Q2.
I think it's
Q1?
Q2 or Q3.
It's opposite.
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, spring in the US.
Yeah, spring. I don't like it's. I talk about with people at work all the time where. We have representatives that come in to like fix up the store and things like that. And they have to have a work card to say that, you've done the online training and things. And we have to write down in our sign-in book the expiry date of this work card.
Yeah.
But it bugs me every fucking time because the way that they've written the date on the work card, they go like the 7th and then they'll go August. They'll write out the word August and then go 23. And so I'm sitting there looking like an idiot going January, February, March, April, May, June, July, or like counting it out because who knows off the top of your head what month is what. Like I couldn't tell you, like I know the first 3 because it's super easy, but after that I'm like, I don't know what number they are. And so I'm sitting there counting it out like a fucking idiot, and I'm like, if you just write like a normal person, the 7th of the 7th, 23, it'd be so much easier because I can just go 7/7/23, like done. And the same as when they do things like this.
The words version.
No, I hate it so much.
Because I know we're in December. I don't need to count what number it is in December.
But that's what I mean. Like the easy ones, like January, February, and December. I'm like, okay, great. They're the tops and tails. But all the ones in the middle, they get mixed up. Like June, July, I always figure out. I'm like, which one? Because they put two J months. They put 2 J months right next to each other, and I'm like, is it 6 or 7? April and August sound quite similar too, so it's like I sort of get them mixed up.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
March and May, and it's like so they all get mixed up. But the ones that only are by themselves, like January, there's no other like J month near it. I'm like, okay, great, and that's also my birthday month, so I'm like, it's kind of easy.
You kind of can remember that, yeah.
Yeah. I would hope so at least.
Yeah.
But that's what I was gonna say is when they do things like this and they go spring. What's spring?
I know. Just like do the month or Q. Q1.
Give me a quarter. Yeah, give me a quarter or give me a month. Like that'd be perfect.
Silly.
Because then it saves us looking like idiots going, summer, flip it, winter. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
So that's it. But you could expect sometime next year.
Yeah.
You could expect. So yeah. And who knows when they're going to announce it too, though, because they've already done. Like a little while ago, a couple of weeks back now, or maybe a month or 2 ago, they did like their PlayStation sort of demonstration event, I guess, where they announced a couple of things, and they didn't have any announcement of it then, so they'll probably announce another one. I'd be surprised if they just like came out on Twitter one Monday and were like, PlayStation subscription.
Honestly,
out next week.
I don't know how I got any of this news before I had Twitter. Like,
yeah.
Instagram, you can easily miss it because if you don't see that post, it just won't come back.
Well, that's what I was talking to Emma about it last night. I was like, the way that they've changed their feed is like if you don't interact with a post for a while or an account for a while,
still pops up.
It'll stop appearing on your feed, like, and you won't see it for a little while. Like they've broken how the Instagram feed works. So it's unless it's on Twitter or Facebook, even sometimes I still find some news topics that I haven't seen. I
just don't know how I feel like stuff.
I feel like before I had Twitter, I was religiously up. Like anytime they did an announcement like this, like I was up at 3 a.m. for the E3 conferences and Reddit and stuff. Otherwise I would have missed it. Yeah. 100%. Like
I feel like EB Games is like my main source of like what's coming.
Yeah.
Just walking around the store.
You see the big poster and it's like, okay, great. That's coming out next month. Perfect.
Yes. We got some more Sony news.
That's exciting Sony news, Jenz.
Yeah.
That's like, we're happy for Sony. Good on you, Sony. Like, that's exciting news. Now we get into the depressing Sony news.
Mm-hmm.
The real depressing Sony news. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this because I didn't see, that's what I was talking to Jenz about earlier. I was like, I hadn't seen too much about this posted on Twitter, which I was quite surprised about because one would expect, especially like my Twitter feed or like your Twitter feed too, which is quite gamer focused and quite like pop culture and entertainment focused, this would have popped up multiple times. But I think I saw it once last week, like right at the end of last week or something, and put it in this document. And then I hadn't seen any of it since then, which is quite concerning. But onto the story. A Sony executive has been caught trying to meet a 15-year-old boy, an alleged 15-year-old boy. So Sony executive George Cacapio? Sony executive George has been fired after allegedly trying to meet up with a 15-year-old boy on Grindr in an amateur pedophile sting operation. The former senior vice president of engineering reportedly thought he was speaking with a teenage boy on the social networking app.
I'm glad they fired him. Like,
yeah. So Sony, to Sony's credit, they were quick on the ball.
They were very quick.
As soon as I saw this, within like a day, fuck Activision. Sony on the ball with this. As soon as I saw posts about it, within a day, I saw another article, I think, or a headline or an update to the article that I initially read that was like, he's been let go. He's gone.
Yeah.
You know, like they're on the ball. But more so in the story, in a video, it was posted by, so when they say amateur pedophile sting operation, that implies that it is done by a third party, not by law enforcement, not by, anyone like that. This is from a YouTube channel called People vs. Preds. And this video was posted to this channel. And you can see a man who looks like George. And he's so, like, he could have been wearing any other shirt. any other shirt, you know?
You gotta
he was wearing a
flex
fucking
that
PlayStation.
Cred.
He was wearing a PlayStation 5 shirt when he answered the front door to this YouTube channel. Like, come on. Like any other shirt, and it would have been fine. Or not fine, but, it wouldn't have been less damning on Sony's part. But yeah, this man was wearing a big PlayStation 5 shirt, answered his front door. In a statement from Sony about a day after I saw this as well, they said, "We are aware of the situation and the employee in question has been terminated from employment." So it sounds like, to our knowledge too, this might, like, for all we know, it could not have been George either. It could have been some guy that looked very suspiciously like him. But, if Sony's let him go, you can probably safely imply that it is.
Yeah, surely they will have his, like, account, Like,
yeah.
The video may not, because it says it looked like George. It didn't say it is George.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I think the way that they... I feel like the way you have to word these things, and obviously because no one's been trialed yet, no one's been found guilty or not guilty at any point in time. That's why we always have to say allegedly or looks like or, is implied.
Proven guilty.
Exactly, because you sort of got to be a bit safe with it. Because for whatever reason, if he is found not guilty, he can then come after parties for like defamation cases and stuff like that. So you got to sort of cover yourself on both ends, but it's But More on this story. People vs. Pred's account also posted screenshots that supposedly show the interaction between George and their decoy. The decoy in this story is the guy that was going to meet
Yeah.
George or whatever, who was playing the 15-year-old. In the messages, George is seen to ask the decoy about their sexual experience and sends them pictures of his genitals.
George,
what are you doing? What are you doing, George?
Oh, George.
What are you doing, George?
Have you seen in America there's a show called How to Catch a Predator or something like that? Have you seen it?
I have heard about it. I have seen maybe a couple of clips on it, and
insane.
It is riveting. Riveting TV.
Yeah. Like holy shit.
Yeah. And it's scary to think just how many of these like people are out there,
And like how
it's
nonchalant
terrifying.
they are, like.
Yeah. Like you could sort of like I did see this clip on Twitter. It's quite like I think they maybe cut the clip down that was probably uploaded to YouTube. But like you can just sort of see the look on George's face, like when he realizes that he's found out. He just sort of like he smacks his lips, like, oh. Like it seems like it was an inconvenience to him to be caught. Like he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you'd think he'd be a bit more like concerned or a bit more, but they seem to have like, they're just oblivious to it from the looks of it.
Crazy.
But what's more concerning to me, I guess, other than the fact that he was found to be practically a pedophile, allegedly, is the fact that even after he works for a giant company, Sony. He's an executive at this company. He's just seen all the fallout from the Activision Blizzard stuff, which in no way is similar to this. Like it's sort of just they're two high profile cases in the gaming industry. Why would you think that you would be able to get away with it? When you've seen just what happened with Activision Blizzard, you've seen what's happened with like Ubisoft in the past and some of their things. You just like, how do you think it's gonna play out?
Some people just
he must have thought he was impervious or something. And that's what I mean by like the oblivious aspect. He just like there's no forethought to this sort of stuff. It seems like they just act. But yeah, with him being like from Sony, you can safely assume that he's going to be charged with something. It did say in this article that I read though that 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, law enforcement doesn't work with like vigilantes, for lack of a better word. So the People vs. Preds account did say that they forwarded on all this information and evidence that they gathered to like the police or the federal, government and stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, they won't really act on it because it's evidence that's not being gathered by them in a sense, or it's not like in an active case. So like it's a bit hard to deal with, I guess. So there might not even be a fallout from this. The fallout from this might just be that he's been let go from Sony, and that's sort of the extent of his,
punishment.
His punishment. Yeah. He could not be charged. Like he might not be. We don't know. But I would expect him to, especially because it is a high profile like person. He's in the public eye. It's like it'd be hard to, if he did get away with it, people would be really harking on the feds to do something about it because he is so high profile. If it was just some sort of random guy that was doing it, people probably wouldn't care as much. But because he is so, I guess, public, or he is a bit larger than the typical person, something else might happen. Who knows? Hopefully.
I think, if the social media side of it pushes on this, then maybe they have to, like, they'll feel like they need to do something about it.
Yeah. That's also why I wanted to bring it up too, because like I said at the start, I hadn't really seen anything on this other than the initial article. And it's like, it's quite concerning. It's quite concerning. So, because no one's talking about it. Like, and I feel like people should be talking about it because it is kind of a terrifying turn of events, But yeah, big yikes. On a more happier note, Jenz. On a happier note, Shang-Chi, one of the best films to come out from the past year. I very much enjoyed it. You very much enjoyed it.
I loved it.
A lot of people enjoyed it. Shang-Chi has been confirmed in getting a sequel. Confirmed. Which we kind of suspected, yes, obviously they continue this character.
They're gonna do more with him,
Yeah, but now they have come out and said officially that the sequel to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is officially on its way, with director Destin Daniel Cretton returning to both direct and write the film. And
Nice.
Marvel said, we're not done yet. Destin Daniel Cretton is also helming a Marvel series for Disney Plus.
Ooh.
Very exciting. So not much is known about Cretton's Marvel series on Disney Plus, but sources tell Variety that it's a comedy, which, again, you could probably safely assume that it was going to be humorous in some way, because Shang-Chi was quite humorous. Like, it wasn't a serious film in, compared to some of the other ones. It was quite, funny and lighthearted in some areas. But yeah, very exciting.
Marvel do that really well.
Yeah, they
comedy.
do. They find their sweet spot too, where it's like they're not overstepping their bounds. I feel like, and it's not just a constant barrage. Yeah, it's not a constant barrage of just like trying jokes to see what ones land. They figure out a good spot where they're gonna hit, and they
very well done.
9 times out of 10 they hit the mark.
Yeah.
A couple of times you'll notice me just go like, and sort of just breathe out my nose quickly, like haha, a little chuckle.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9 times out of 10, they're pretty spot on. But I suspect it's going to be a spin-off from one of the Shang-Chi characters. Who knows which character it could be? Be kind of exciting if it's Trevor. Kind of exciting.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I'd be down to watch like a Trevor.
I feel like it could be
Disney Plus
them. Show. Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, because who knows where it's going to fit in. Marvel have sort of already set out their timeline for like the next 2 years plus of things. So they'll probably squeeze it in somewhere. I would expect 2023, 2024 maybe. Who knows?
And I want to be a Marvel. Yeah. I want to be an Avenger.
Same. I was watching.
So jealous.
What do you call it? The behind the scenes thing for Shang-Chi, like on Disney Plus, where they do the behind the scenes for all the things. I would highly recommend watching the Shang-Chi one because it's quite enjoyable.
I will.
But like I was watching it, and Simu Liu, like they obviously interview him throughout the little documentary thing, and he was like, I hadn't been in any films, any large films prior to this. Like I wasn't known.
His whole life flipped because of this now. Like
he goes on to say that he'd done his own short films on YouTube and stuff like that, and like where he'd direct and act, and like he did all the whole thing. He did his, obviously, as we all know, like the stock images shoot and stuff like that. But before this, he had been in nothing, you know. And like Jen said, it flipped his life entirely around. Like he went from being like practically in the film of his character. He practically went from being like a busboy, valet guy to a superhero within a matter of months, like it's crazy.
So happy for him because he seems so genuine and like,
he
such a
cares about his character so much.
Yeah.
Too. So much. Like he loves
Shang-Chi.
He just like, he was truly perfect for it. And more so to that fact too, like he goes on to say in the documentary, like, Shang-Chi in the film is sort of an outcast from, like, he finds himself in the middle of being an Asian, a person that represents from Asia and being an American. Like he's in that middle ground where he obviously has, he has the Asian heritage and he has the background and stuff like that, but he was born and grew up in America. And so he says in this little documentary, he goes, he feels like he's stuck in the middle between these two things. Like he doesn't truly have a home. And so that's why they wrote it into the film as well, is because both Simu Liu and Shang-Chi both feel that, it was quite a nice little sort of, story tidbit to get, which is why I always watch these like behind the scenes things, because I feel like you always get things that you wouldn't pick up on in the film. Like, they're so interesting. They're great.
So
I guess if you guys are listening too, if you guys haven't watched it, I'd highly recommend them. All of the like behind the scenes things that they do on Disney Plus are great, outstanding. But yeah, one behind the scenes show that I can't wait for, Jens, is the behind the scenes to Hawkeye.
Your favorite show, apparently, now.
I honestly think it is going to be my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show. I don't
So
know
it's not
why. I
yet.
don't know
It's not
how.
yet.
It's not yet because we're only 2.5 episodes in. You know, like, or 3 episodes in, I should say. Sorry, but like, I don't know what it is. I just every week I find myself getting more and more excited about what's coming
Okay.
with it. You know, and it could just be because of the prerequisites that I know of what might happen with some of the other characters and what might appear in it, and that may be why I'm so excited for it and why I'm so invested and why I think it's going to be my favorite one. But like, it's just I don't know. It's shot so well. It feels so grounded. The characters seem like approachable. You know, it's just pleasing. You know,
I did enjoy the third episode.
it was great. Episode 3
Third
was probably my
episode's
favorite
good.
one. Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know
a
who the characters
bundle
were.
of fun.
I don't know
Bundle of
what they're
fun.
setting up.
Okay. I can go into that a little bit. So
Okay.
if you guys haven't seen episode 3 of Hawkeye, I would suggest you either stop listening now if you don't want spoilers, or if you do want spoilers, you can continue listening. Totally up to you. But some little things I wanted to touch on from episode 3. Kingpin. All but confirmed. All but confirmed, Chance. You know how I can tell? There was a single, like, 2-second shot in the boxing ring, like the behind the scenes shot, in the behind the scenes shot, in like the past shot where they went sort of to Echo's younger self in the boxing arena.
Oh,
You can
that's her
see about
name.
it. You can see about her name is Echo. Who is also, like we said a couple of episodes ago, a couple of episodes ago, the podcast is getting her own spin-off Disney Plus show sometime next year,
Oh, okay.
which is exciting. But yeah, from about 2 seconds, you can see what seems to be a mysterious hand come down and brush the cheek of Echo as, like, you know, as a sort of like a pick you up, like, you know, she just got beat up or something like that, you know, just a, hey, keep your chin up type of thing. The character was wearing a black suit, white undershirt. It's Kingpin, you know? It's all but confirmed. Like, his character only ever wears suits.
Okay.
It has to be him. It
Okay.
has to be him.
Okay.
You know? And then I saw a little breakdown, I think on Reddit, where the character that also brushed her cheek, Echo's cheek, laughed for maybe a second as well. And someone compared it to the Netflix version of Kingpin, his laugh in the show.
It's the same one?
They then did it side by side to the one from Hawkeye, and it is practically 1-to-1.
Oh.
Practically 1-to-1. So he's all but confirmed.
Little antenna's going.
Sitting on this hill. I'm gonna die on this hill.
Yeah.
He's in the show. He's popping up at some point, you know? Yeah, all but confirmed. I was jumping on the bed. You ask Emma, I was ecstatic. Ecstatic. Another thing that I absolutely adored in this was like the final big fight scene action sequence that they did on the bridge. Or like in the car chase, I should say, probably, which ended
with
at
the
the bridge.
Arrows?
With all the trick arrows.
Oh my god, the way they
fun.
shot that just before they got to the bridge, it was like a moving shot. I don't know if it was all one shot, but it felt like it. It was really, really well done. That was really cool to see.
It was, which actually, Jenz, you say that you like single one-shot takes of things.
Yeah.
You're going to love Marvel's Daredevil. Oh.
Okay.
You're going to love it.
I find one-shot things really impressive.
Yeah, the way that they've, in every season of Daredevil, there is at least one scene that they do all in one take, and it will always be a fight scene. Watch tonight, before or after you watch Hawkeye, watch episodes 1 and 2 of Daredevil, season 1, and right at the end of season 2, you'll notice they call it the hallway fight scene. Incredible. Okay. They do it all in one shot. It's about a 5-minute sequence or something, all in one take, and it's a big fight scene, and it's just like, you think, how do they pull off a 5-minute fight scene in one shot with no cuts? You know, incredible.
It's a lot of work, and you can, it pays off. It seriously pays off.
It does. It's so good. But yeah, so watch that. But yeah, all the trick arrows, which I did realize we haven't seen Hawkeye use in anything else he's been a part of. So like in the Avengers movies that he's been in and stuff like that, we've only ever seen him use maybe an explosive arrow and like a grapple arrow, if that, you know, or his normal arrows. We've never seen any of the trick arrows. So I wanted to say that my favorite was the Pym arrow.
Yes.
The one that he shot and it blew up the other arrow massively. Absolutely my favorite one. Did you have a favorite arrow, Jenz? if it's not
That
already the
little
Pym one
nod
too.
to the Pym was very good.
It was very well done.
I like the one that grabbed all the Christmas trees. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, with all the different grapples that came out of it, that was kind of cool too. And that's what I mean.
They were
They were
all
so
really
fun.
cool.
They weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you can see, like they made them humorous in the sense that, like there was the putty arrow and like the big gas arrow and like the one that Jen said with all the grapple hooks that come up at the plunger. It's like in like on paper they seem kind of silly, and they did shoot them like that in the thing, like where all the trees were stuck to the car. It's quite humorous,
It
like
was very
it wouldn't be something you expect. Yeah, I get that. But to me as well, I can see them being useful in other scenarios.
Yeah.
Like I can, like they make sense to me as to why he would have those arrows as well, because I can be like, that would work in like this scenario, like or it just and it was really well done. I absolutely loved it, and I think that's why it's my favorite episode so far. It was just it was really well done.
Yeah, really well I agree. It out of all the ones, it's the third one is but definitely where you want to try and get to if you're not yet hooked on Hawkeye, to see if you then will like it. But curious on how it goes, where it'll take us. The character Echo seems really cool, like having a deaf character.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Well, that's the thing too. That's another thing I thought about is we have had in this phase of the MCU and going forward, we have had probably the most inclusive,
diverse
couple of films and like episodes and stuff like that of any like superhero movie I've ever seen. So you just think, going back to Shang-Chi, you have the character that's got the amputated arm that does have a giant blade coming out of it, but like he's still an amputee in a sense. In this we have our first deaf character that was
Is she
shown
deaf in the comics.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think they also got the actor that's playing Echo is also deaf in real life.
No way.
If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But she could, because I did see a headline earlier in the week that Jeremy Renner did learn basic ASL, which is like basic sign language, to welcome her to the set when they were shooting together. And I was like, that's super nice. Like, that's really touching, So yeah, I could be wrong, but from my understanding, she is actually deaf in real life too. Because it would be kind of like
weird.
It's the whole thing of like getting other actors to play either minority groups or something like that, which Scarlett Johansson has done in the past when she did what was that film where she was like, it was the live action anime film where you would expect it to be like someone of Asian heritage that would play it because of it's an anime, but they got like a white actress to
Ghost
play
in
it.
the Shell,
and like people Ghost in the Shell, that's the one I'm thinking of. And like people are kind of unhappy with that because
they don't like
it's like no. And so I think here it would be the same sort of thing if you got a character that wasn't deaf to play someone that is deaf in the thing. It would be and obviously as well, there are deaf actors and there are blind actors and there are mute actors that do want to act in these things, but they're always shunned away because they're just not well known, or they haven't had experience, or so it's good to see them doing things like this too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like I know with Ghost in the Shell, I think Scarlett initially was like, well, anyone can play this character. Why can't it be me?
Yeah.
And then people were like, no, you don't understand. You can play absolutely anything you want in any movie, but an Asian character can't. So you're taking that role away from an Asian character who can't play any other character except for an Asian character. And she understood it. It's like, oh like it's much more limiting for like, of course she can play it, but that's not the point. She was amazing and I loved it. But that is not the point. It's because she's taking it away from. Same with people who are deaf or who, and So it's really great to see that they've got this happening. It doesn't feel forced either, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Exactly. That's good. It feels natural. It's like it seamlessly fits in. Like it makes sense. It works.
I also
good.
really like the name Echo for it. Like, it makes sense to the character itself.
Yeah, the character. Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It'll be interesting. With again, I keep coming back to this whole Daredevil thing. It'll be interesting to see, because obviously you can expect Daredevil's going to appear, Kevin Feige did say earlier in the week that Charlie Cox, who plays Matt Murdock in the Netflix Daredevil show, is going to return at some point in the MCU. Like, he came out and confirmed it, which was kind of disappointing to me. I feel like it would be more fun if he just randomly appeared and everyone's like, holy shit, But yeah, Kevin Feige did come out and confirm that he would be returning to his role as Matt Murdock, which would be great, because he played him so well. But it's going to be very interesting to see, because I think Echo and Daredevil are kind of enemies in a sense, in some of the storylines. So it's going to be interesting to see, a blind character in Daredevil going up against a deaf character in Echo. Like, that dynamic could be very interesting, because you've never seen that before.
No.
Like, ever.
Wow. So just reading about Alaka Cox, who plays Echo.
Yep.
She is deaf and an amputee as well, and she is Native American.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was the first thing I picked up on, because you saw when they did their flashback and you saw her younger, her dad, that was the first thing I noticed. Was like, I turned to Emma, I was like, oh, they're Native American. Like, that was the first thing I picked up on. And then you later, and they did it so well when they introduced her character. I don't know if you remember it, but like, you go into this scene and you see her dad talking to her. Yeah, the kid.
The kid
young
is her
Echo.
cousin as
and
well.
Then,
in real
that's
life,
great,
and she is deaf.
That was one thing that Emma picked up too, was like, they've done
similar.
really well in casting either Echo or the younger version of Echo, because Emma was like, they look so alike. And I was like, maybe they did that really that smart Marvel thing where they like de-aged her, or they like, put her face onto like a surrogate actor or something like that, But no, that's good to hear that they included a cousin. That's really well done. But what I wanted to touch on was they did it so well in showcasing to the audience that she was deaf, because like, I didn't really know that she was going to be deaf. Initially, I have never really heard of Echo in any of the other comics that I've read. Sorry. And the way that they introduced it was so well done, where like the dad was talking, and we can obviously hear the dad because we're in the audience, but then it pivots to like Echo's point of view, young Echo's point of view. And it's just very muffled, and you hear a ringing, and it's like, I was like, that is so good how they've done that. Like,
if you like that, you have to watch
Baby Driver?
Oh. What's the silent movie?
A Quiet Place?
Yes. You have to watch the second one of that.
Yeah. Okay.
I won't say any more, but if you like that, you will love.
I get you where you're going. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give it a go.
All right.
But yeah, speaking of that, Jenz, in 5 hours on, we get episode 4, and I cannot wait. As soon as I come home from my vet's appointment with Flash,
good luck.
Putting it straight on. I think I'm putting it straight on.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Yeah. It's going to be such a fun episode.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I think that's all we have time for this week, Jenz. We actually ended up talking longer than I expected. We're at just under an hour now. As per usual, we're just chatterboxes. Was there anything you wanted to add on or talk about before we wrap up for this week?
No, nothing for me.
Yeah, no, nothing from me either, guys. So as usual, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and we shall chat you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.